Back on Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Head to youtube.com, put Locked On Sports Atlanta in the search browser. Hit that subscribe button when you get there. Leave us a comment. Also free and available to download all of your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify and Odyssey. Leave us a 5-star review. Download us for free today. And, of course, follow me on my personal Twitter page. That would be at JMCH316. Hard to imagine that Ian Anderson has had such a turnaround in a year, right? And not even really a year. Anderson, you can make a case, was the best postseason pitcher that the Braves had last year. And while he's figured out a way to win 10 games this year, obviously he's had lots of struggles this season. 10-6 on the year, but with a 5 ERA. And more importantly is the fact that he's had 54 walks in 111 2/3 innings. That's a high total. 115 hits, given up 12 homers. His whip, which is not good at all, is a 1.513 this year. And he got demoted and sent down to Gwinnett to try to get some things figured out. And I brought this up when they demoted him. I said, I don't think this is going to be just a 1 or 2 start thing, and they're going to just bring him back up. They're going to play the long game with Ian Anderson. Do I think Ian Anderson is going to be back up for a postseason run? I'll tell you my answer. No, I don't. So right now, Ian Anderson, in his 4 starts in Gwinnett, is what he's made. In 4 starts, he's 1-2 with a 5.82 ERA. No, excuse me, 5.4 ERA. 5.4 ERA. He's pitched 21 2/3 innings. He's given up 25 hits. He has struck out 23 guys. That's a good sign because that's a higher per 9 strikeout total than he had in the big leagues. But he's basically walking the same amount of guys, 10 walks. So he averaged 4.4 walks per 9 innings with the Braves. He's at 4.2 walks per 9 innings with Gwinnett. So have things gone better? I mean, he's got some better swing and miss stuff, but you expect that for a guy who's pitching against Triple-A guys, right? But the walks are still there. The hits are still there. By the way, his whip is even worse at Gwinnett. He's 1.615 is his whip at Gwinnett. So it's been a very mixed bag. Remember, his first start down there was like 5 2/3 of shutout baseball, and you thought, okay, maybe get him a couple starts and he'll be ready to go. 4 starts in, and we're pushing toward 5.5 on his ERA. I think the Braves would be smarter with the way their rotation is now, and with all due respect, not worried about what my look. Morton, Fried, Wright, Strider. Okay, that's as good as a 4 that you go through the roster of every team in baseball and tell me 4 guys as a combo better than that. And because Strider has been so good this year, let me take that back. Because Strider has been outstanding this year, I don't really think that there's a reason to have to rush Ian Anderson and bring him back up. And I didn't think Ian Anderson was going to come up right away. I said, look, he might like 5, 6, 7 starts. Well, he might finish the year down in Gwinnett, if we're being honest. And they still have a little ways to go in their season. I think they play until the very end of the month before things wrap up. I'm not going to be surprised at all if Ian Anderson does not come back up to the big club. There's also one other wild card factor in all of this. Do the Braves bring Mike Soroka up and pitch him at the big league level? I do think that there are questions about whether or not Soroka comes up. Now, obviously, the guy that everybody points to that nobody likes, right, is Jake Odorizzi, right? I know nobody likes him, nobody this, that, and the other. But if you're talking about for the regular season, a 5th starter, I think he's fine. There's nothing outstanding about him. But your 4 top guys are what's going to win you this division. It's not going to be because Jake Odorizzi did or did not pitch well that you win the division. Your top 4 guys is what's going to win the division. It's because Fried, Wright, Morton, and Strider just went out there and took care of their business, right? So I have this sneaking suspicion that you've seen the last of Ian Anderson on the big club for the rest of the year. Now, look, they may think that he's too valuable to leave off their playoff roster and may bring him up, right? They may decide to do something with. I don't know. I mean, these are decisions at the front office to get paid millions of dollars to try to figure out. We'll talk more about this in just a second. But first, let me talk about my friends over at Coffee AM. You know, my favorite folks that are out there. Listen, coffeeam.com is the best small batch coffee roaster in America, and they are right here in the state of Georgia, up in the Canton area, whatever you need. You need K-Cups, you need organic coffee, flavored coffee, whatever it is your preference that you need. They've got everything available to you at coffeeam.com. So here's what I want you to do. Head to coffeeam.com/lockedon. coffeeam.com/lockedon. Head there, check out their wide variety of all the different products. You want coffee, you need teas, you need a gift set, a mug, a pug, a rug, a bug, or something that you need to, it's out there. Go check it out at coffeeam.com. And when you get that first order put together, okay, go through their menu, get that first order put together, head to checkout, and when you get there, use the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get 15% off your first order at coffeeam.com. Coffee AM is the best small batch coffee roaster in America. So because it has not gone well for Ian Anderson, and you might have Mike Soroka, and they've got Oda Rizzi that can fill in stuff like that, I just think that there are things that are mounting against the idea of Ian Anderson. And I'm fine with that. Would I love to have Ian Anderson take a shot in the playoffs? Maybe. I'm not as convinced about it this year, given the way he's pitched. He just puts too many base runners on this year. Too many hits, too many walks, too many guys that are reaching first base safely from my liking. Look, you get into playoffs, and especially in a 3-game series, right? You don't have to worry, or 3-game series, 5-game series, right? You don't have to worry about 5 starters. 7-game series, okay, you could, again, maybe, but, with a day off here and a day off there, travel day and all that kind of stuff, I think you got it with 4 guys, you can figure it out. You should be, for God's sakes, in Major League Baseball, you should be able to figure out your starting rotation with 4 solid guys at the top of that rotation. So I think the idea that Ian Anderson is going to be back this year is starting to move in that, hey, go down, make a couple of starts, pop, we'll bring you back up. I think we're moving away from that more quickly. And I'm not going to be surprised at all that Ian Anderson finishes up the year at Gwinnett, makes maybe 7 or 8 starts down there in Gwinnett, whatever it ends up being out there, and they just let him work in the offseason, get himself right. Obviously, Ian Anderson is part of the future of the Atlanta Braves, right? He's part of your core moving forward. And you think about, look, Morton's only got maybe another year, maybe 2. I don't know. He might retire at the end of this year, right? So when you talk about Fried and Wright, and by the way, you got to sign Max Fried. That couple of $100 million is staring you right in the eyeballs. Fried, Wright, Strider, Anderson. Okay, that's a hell of a top 4 to be able to start my franchise with, right? And you want to keep those guys together, especially this organization who values pitching as much as anybody out there. So my thought process would be 2 things. One is I don't expect Anderson to be back, and I'm fine with that. Second part is leave him down there, let him get right, let him figure some things out, let him just do what he's got to do. It's not a health thing. We're not worried about his health or whatever like that. Just let him get right. Let him get right. Let him figure some things out. And then we'll talk again come spring training of next year. All right, when we come back, it's time to get home for the Atlanta Falcons. I'll explain next. Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked On Sports Atlanta.